I urge our friends in the Senate to confirm these outstanding individuals as swiftly as possible. They're innovative, flexible, focused on the future, and deeply devoted to our troops and their families. General Dempsey, Admiral Winfeld, we have much to do from bringing our troops. Home from Iraq to beginning to reduce our forces in Afghanistan this summer and transitioning to Afghan lead. From defeating Al-Qaeda to protecting the Libyan people. All this, even as we make difficult budget decisions while keeping our military the finest fighting force in the world. Above all, as Commander-in-Chief, I'll be looking to you, and the rest of the Joint Chiefs. For what I value most in my advisors, your honest, unvarnished advice, and the full range of options. Especially when it comes to our most solemn obligation, protecting the lives of our brave men and women in uniform. We have no greater responsibility, as we are reminded today when we honor all those who sacrificed so that we can enjoy the blessings of freedom. So, again, to Marty, Sandy, and Ray, as well as your families. Thank you for your patriotic service and your readiness to lead once more. Thank you very much, everybody. Barack Obama. To House Democratic Caucus on Healthcare Reform Bill. Delivered March 20, 2010. Thank you. Everybody, please have a seat. To Leader Reed, to Steny Hoyer, John Larson, Xavier Becerra, Jim Clyburn. Chris Van Hollen, to an extraordinary leader and extraordinary Speaker of the House. Nancy Pelosi, and to all the members here today, thank you very much for having me. Thanks for having me and thanks for your tireless efforts. Waged on behalf of health insurance reform in this country. I have the great pleasure of having a really nice library at the White House. And I was tooling through some of the writings of some previous presidents and I came upon this quote by Abraham Lincoln. I am not bound to win, but I'm bound to be true. I'm not bound to succeed, but I'm bound to live up to what light I have. This debate has been a difficult debate. This process has been a difficult process. And this year has been a difficult year for the American people. When I was sworn in, we were in the midst of the worst recession since the Great Depression. $800,000 people per month were losing their jobs. Millions of people were losing their health insurance. And the financial system was on the verge of collapse. And this body has taken on some of the toughest votes and some of the toughest decisions in the history of Congress. Not because you were bound to win, but because you were bound to be true. Because each and every one of you made a decision that at a moment of such urgency, it was less important to measure what the polls said than to measure what was right. A year later, we're in different circumstances. Because of the actions that you've taken, the financial system has stabilized. The stock market has stabilized. Businesses are starting to invest again. The economy, instead of contracting, is now growing again. There are signs that people are going to start hiring again. There's still tremendous hardship all across the country. But there is a sense that we are making progress because of you. But even before this crisis, each and every one of us knew that there were millions of people across America who were living their own quiet crises. Maybe because they had a child who had a pre-existing condition, and no matter how desperate they were, no matter what insurance company they called, they couldn't get coverage for that child. Maybe it was somebody who had been forced into early retirement. In their 50s, not yet eligible for Medicare, and they couldn't find a job and they couldn't find health insurance. Despite the fact that they had some sort of chronic condition that had to be tended to. Every single one of you at some point before you arrived in Congress and after. You arrived in Congress, have met constituents with heartbreaking stories. And you've looked them in the eye and you've said, we're going to do something about it. That's why I want to go to Congress. And now, we're on the threshold of doing something about it. We're a day away. After a year of debate, after every argument has been made. By just about everybody, we're 24 hours away. As some of you know, I'm not somebody who spends a lot of time surfing the cable channels. But I'm not completely in the bubble. I have a sense of what the coverage has been. And mostly it's an obsession with what will this mean for the Democratic Party? What will this mean for the president's polls? How will this play out? In November? Is this good or is this bad for the Democratic majority? What does it mean for those swing districts? And I noticed that there's been a lot of friendly advice offered all across town. Mitch McConnell, John Boehner. Karl Rove, they're all warning you of the horrendous impact if you support this legislation. Now, it could be that they are suddenly having a change of heart. And they are deeply concerned about their Democratic friends. They are giving you the best possible advice in order to assure that Nancy Pelosi remains. Speaker and Harry Reid remains leader and that all of you keep your seats. That's a possibility. But it may also be possible that they realize after health reform passes and I sign that legislation into law, that it's going to be a little harder to mischaracterize what this effort has been all about. Because this year, small businesses will start getting tax credits so that they can offer health insurance to employees who currently don't have it. Because this year, those same parents who are worried about getting coverage for their children with pre-existing conditions now are assured that insurance companies have to give them coverage this year. Because this year, insurance companies won't suddenly be able to drop your coverage when you get sick. Or impose lifetime limits or restrictive limits on the coverage that you have. Maybe they know that this year. For the first time, young people will be able to stay on their parents' health insurance. Until they're 26 years old, and they're thinking that just might be popular all across the country. And what they also know is what won't happen. They know that after this legislation passes and after I sign this bill, lo and behold, nobody is pulling the plug on Granny. It turns out that in fact people who like their health insurance are going to be able to keep their health insurance, that there's no government takeover. People will discover that if they like their doctor, they'll be keeping their doctor. In fact, they're more likely to keep their doctor because of a stronger system. It'll turn out that this piece of historic legislation is built on the private insurance. System that we have now and runs straight down the center of American political thought. It turns out this is a bill that tracks the recommendations not just of Democrat Tom Daschle, but also Republicans Bob Dole and Howard Baker, that this is a middle-of-the-road bill that is designed to help the American people in an area of their lives where they urgently need help. Now, there are some who wanted a single-payer government-run system. That's not this bill. The Republicans wanted what I called the foxes guard the henhouse. Approach in which we further deregulate the insurance companies and let them run wild. The notion being somehow that that was going to lower costs for the American people. I don't know a serious healthcare economist who buys that idea, but that was their concept. And we rejected that, because what we said was we want to create a system in which healthcare is working. Not for insurance companies, but it's working for the American people, it's working for middle-class families. So what did we do? What is the essence of this legislation? Number 1, this is the toughest insurance reforms in history. We are making sure that the system of private insurance works for ordinary families. A prescription: this is a patient's bill of rights on steroids. So many of you individually have worked on these insurance reforms. They are in this package to make. Sure that families are getting a fair deal, that if they're paying a premium, that they're getting a good service in return. Making sure that employers, if they are paying premiums for their employees, that their employees are getting the coverage that they expect, that insurance companies are not going to game the system. With fine print and rescissions and dropping people when they need it most. But instead are going to have to abide by some basic rules of the road that exemplify a sense of fairness and good value. That's number 1. The second thing this does is it creates a pool, a marketplace, where individuals and small businesses who right now are having a terrible time out there getting health insurance are going to be able to purchase health insurance as part of a big group, just like federal employees, just like members of Congress. They are now going to be part of a pool that can negotiate for better rates, better quality, more competition.